and chill. I'ma just be real.
Suplex
and chill.
Suplex, suplex
and chill. I'ma just be real. You know.
And it works. Hello, everybody. I am your comedic babyface and everybody's favourite, KD Hinken. Welcome to technically the second, but we'll go with the first, Suplex and Chill, the first proper one, how we're going to do it going forward. We are going to be chatting about all the wrestling news going on backstage right now. Some of the stuff going on in front of the camera too, but behind the camera is a lot more interesting, let's be fair. And then we will round it off with a damn good old quiz, as we will be doing each time a guest is on. We'll see how smart they are with the old wrestling. But before we can do that, we need to bring the guest on. Joining me for this episode is the man behind the Geek Battle and the Slam Jam Wrestling Show. He is also the man behind the Extreme Improv, which is available at a venue near you. Just go onto his socials, which he will give you in just a moment, so you can get all the details on there, because I can't include them on the stream for some reason. I don't know. I'm not good at tech. I'm an old man. Joining me, though, now, he is the one and only Mr. Dave Pustansky. How are you, sir? Did I get that right? Pustansky?
Not quite. It's Pustansky. Yeah, it's like Pustansky. But it's all good. I'm good, KD. How are you?
I am very good, thank you, man. Let the people know all your socials and where they can get your stuff, then, you know.
Well, certainly. So I'm at David Pustansky, which is spelled Pustansky, and I'm that on all platforms, along with Slam Jam Wrestling and at Geek Battle on all of this good stuff. And of course, as you mentioned, Extreme Improv as well. So, yeah, I do get about.
When's your next Extreme Improv thing?
Live on stage, that's November 13th, but it's the second Thursday of the month at the Camden Comedy Club. So if people are watching this in the future, second Thursday of the month is the easiest way to remember it.
So, because it's more London-based, isn't it?
Yeah, so these shows are in Camden at the Camden Comedy Club. But we do shows here, there, and everywhere. We just haven't, over the course of this year, we've just been doing the Camden shows.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing you've been like getting it back. How long have we been out of the COVID stuff now?
I never left COVID, KD. Like, to me, I still like, we're on Zoom, or we're not on Zoom, but you know what I mean. We're like connected to the internet. For me, COVID. I'm like Sylvester Stallone in Rambo, where Vietnam never ended for him, COVID never ended for me.
Fair. I get it though. I started doing a lot more of those kind of things and kept doing them. They're fun. That's one thing that kind of appeared and hasn't gone away, like the COVID, the Zoom stuff, and also working from home, which I love personally. I miss the social distancing myself.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Just everyone, being afraid as soon as anyone sneezed or something. Right? You could just clear it. You'd be like the parting of the Red Sea, just with a cough.
Yeah, great, man. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Right then. I am going to give you, to kick off, I'm going to give you a wrestling hot take. And then if you can think of a hot take to give me afterwards, then cool. But if not, I forgot to ask you beforehand. So,
sure.
Fair enough. But my hot take, first of all, will be that commentary is one of the top 3 best things about AEW. Although, no, actually, top 2. I'm actually going to put that properly. Top 2 best things about AEW. I love Taz as a commentator. He's been one of my favourites for a while. And I love it's more Taz and Excalibur, and with a bit of Tony too. The back and forth, the joking, exactly what some people hate about it. How feel you on that?
I don't mind the commentary in AEW. I think AEW just is on a journey where it's still trying to work out all of the kinks, and commentary is one of the areas where it can. You've got Tony Schiavone, who is doing his best still to catch up, but is from a bygone era where even like in the early noughties and late 90s, I was just like, Tony Schiavone sucks. And I prefer him nowadays to what I did when he was in WCW. Then you've got Taz, who I was always like, well, I kind of like Taz as a character, but, I wasn't overly convinced of him as a commentator. And then you've got like Excalibur, who he knows all of the he's the indie one that knows all of the moves and the histories and stuff like this, which is kind of like the necessary evil nowadays, but they're serviceable. But I think it feels like a rush together indie show, because I think some of the overall storytelling in AEW doesn't have. They need like a continuity editor in AEW, just to make sure that everything follows through, and sometimes they're doing their best to put over and sell storylines that don't always feel like they've got all the logic behind it. So they're doing the best with what they can.
I mean, we say that though, but because this brings me on to another one that I'll say in a minute, but I like this tangent anyway though.
Sure.
Like, we say they're doing the best that they can, but there's no real excuse anymore for AEW. They've been going 6 years. They should have consistent storylines by now.
Well, yeah, but okay, so this is the thought I'll give on that, is that they've got... So when you just look at the commentary team, obviously from the very beginning, it's like they've got Jim Ross. Now, Jim Ross, obviously he's had a lot of health problems. He's a lot older. And I think it's fair to say that he's not in his prime, and he hasn't been for quite some time.
I think that's definitely fair to say.
Absolutely. And then you've got the likes of Taz, who obviously was a prominent commentator for WWE and then was in TNA commentating. And so he's got like this long history of doing commentary. But I wouldn't say that he was ever the best WWE commentator for me personally. I like his personality and character.
Yeah.
But then you've got Excalibur, who literally has never been in WWE. And the reason I keep referencing back to WWE is, for what wrestling commentary is, they have, if you get these indie guys, all they can do is kind of emulate what they've seen elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you get an indie filmmaker or like a theatre company that are just trying to do their best because, this is what I play or a movie is, it might be like, this is really good in ways, but some of the finesse, some of the stuff that they don't tell you, the behind-the-scenes stuff, the logic behind stuff, may be missing. And I think that sums up AEW in total for me.
Yeah, I can't really argue that at all.
Well, yeah, go on.
We'll go on to the next thing, and it will carry on with this, so it's hard for me to not say it, and then we'll go on to your take. Let me just quickly find it then, actually. I went past. There we go. So what is going on with Andrade? Because to your point, Andrade, he had a whole thing, obviously. First of all, he was originally in WWE, then left to go to AEW. Then rumor was he was ignored for a while, like everybody is, and then he apparently reportedly punched Sami Zayn to get fired.
Sammy Guevara.
Yeah.
And
then went to WWE, and then obviously asked for his release, and now has gone back to AEW a few weeks ago, but then appeared, dropped Kenny Omega, and then shock and behold, hasn't been on AEW since.
This is AEW. Like, it might mean absolutely nothing, but people turn up, people debut, people re-debut, and then you don't see them for long periods of time. And that just sums it up. And so obviously people are saying that there might be some problem already, that I think it was in the last few days that there was some Don Callis family birthday party or something like this, and he just wasn't in it. But like, one of the problems is that they're like, everyone's joining the Don Callis family. It's like, well, do they all factor into it? Do they make sense to be there? Should he be there? It might just be that their plans have changed for Andrade, or maybe they wanted to bring in Andrade to do that week, and then he was like, but I've got to end in Portugal, and I'm unavailable for a couple of weeks. Who knows?
It's just fair, because they could have had the first one for that initial surprise, because it was a big surprise, and I don't know anyone that expected that.
Yeah,
because I thought he was still under a no compete, as I just assumed, but apparently not.
Yeah, like you would assume that he would have been, because his leaving WWE was the slightly mysterious, he was uncontactable for a while, and I don't think it was that his contracts just ran out. I think it's that they fired him, right?
Well, apparently the rumor is that it was something to do with wellness violations.
Right.
Well, I heard on a few things, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean he's failed one. That could just mean he missed one.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Yeah.
So, yeah, they don't really know realistically, though.
The interesting thing with Andrade is that he, as people have commented on the internet, that he was the first person to go from WWE to AEW, from AEW to WWE, and then back from WWE to AEW. So I think he should try to get his job back with WWE if he can get out of this.
Keep going back and forth. See how long you can do it for.
Yeah. Or they should, I wouldn't necessarily pick Andrade as this character, but I think there should be some sort of like truce between WWE and AEW over like one wrestler a year, where there's just one wrestler that can bounce back and forth, because Andrade, could be that guy.
You'd never see that with Vince McMahon, but I could legitimately see that eventually in WWE, because we never thought we'd see it with TNA. And people say that TNA isn't getting anything out of that relationship. I watched Bound for Glory the other day, and they packed out a big arena, and it felt like it felt so much bigger than TNA has felt for ages. And I just think that, Rob.
I think one of the catchphrases or things that was around AEW over the last 5 years is, what was it, like, they can never die or something like this. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
Something like this. And they just keep on going, and they keep having little resurgences. Obviously, about 3-4 years ago, they did a deal with AEW, and that really didn't help them. That didn't help them at all.
No, that didn't.
It did absolutely nothing for them.
No.
And then they've done this deal with WWE, and I'd say especially the Joe Hendry factor has been huge. And as big as he's been appearing on WWE, it was like, but he's a TNA guy, and he was elevating TNA. This whole thing with the Dudleys and the Hardys, obviously, that could be in any promotion, and that would have been a huge match this year. And so
you watch it.
I've seen highlights of that match, and I've seen a few highlights from other things from Bound for Glory, but I didn't see Bound for Glory.
Yeah, I watched it, but I was falling asleep a lot of certain parts. And the Hardys and Dudley Boys match was one that I fell asleep a few times in. But what I saw of it, was good. It was better than I expected for what they were able to do. The end was kind of weird, though.
What was the like? Okay, so again, I've seen on the internet where people have said, "Oh, they just went for the 'I'm sorry, I love you, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels' ending," which 100% is what they were going for, something like that.
Something like
that was the first one, but then obviously Undertaker and Shawn Michaels was stay down, and then Triple H was there for a few years. Once a year, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, they would just keep repeating this thing until they burned it out. And Bubba Ray obviously was like, I just want that for me. But he was stood there. There was no reason why he couldn't fight back for me. There was a real difference for Ric Flair being on his knees like this to Bubba just being stood there and then just turns around and lets them slam him through a table. That wasn't like Shawn Michaels. Do you remember? Well, let me just quickly say. Do you remember Shawn Michaels with The Undertaker, where he was like this, crawling up The Undertaker, and The Undertaker's just like, stay down, man. I'm trying to be kind. And Shawn gets up, defiant slap across his face, I think it was. And then The Undertaker saw red and like killed him, finished him off.
Yeah.
Like the logic, this is what I mean. The logic completely worked. The Bubba Ray one, he stood there and he looks a bit like, I can't fight back. But it's like, well, you're on your 2 feet. And if you're on your 2 feet, I feel like you could fight back. I will
say though, he looked depleted though. Like,
well, yeah, like he'd gone for it, but I think he could have gone an extra step.
He could have done, considering how he's always going on about his storytelling on Busted Open.
Yeah,
I was surprised, but I can see how he would have been trying to tell exactly what you're saying, but in the nicest way. Maybe he just hasn't got the acting chops to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool though. I really liked it. And it was really cool seeing Devon be able to be in such good condition, because that was the worry, I think, really. He hadn't wrestled for a long time.
Yeah, but like, Devon's always been like huge, and I don't mean like overweight. I mean like bulk. He's just like his arms are huge and stuff like this. So it's not like the Dudleys are particular high flyers. You may get the was up, but other than that, they're not doing swantons and stuff.
Yeah. All right, then. In that case, then I think it's time now that I would like your, if you have one, hot take, David.
Yeah. My hot take.
When you think anything?
Yeah, I'll just wing one off the top of my head. Seth Rollins is an idiot. Always was an idiot, and he just won the Crown Jewel Championship, and he's nuked himself like again. When they teased a fake injury earlier this year, which was recreating from when he actually had injured himself a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
which was again a self-inflicted injury. Doing a springboard and landing on your feet and then getting injured from it. Doing a coast to coast. Like, how old is Seth now, right? If I feel like if you're 22 or something in AEW, you can think I'm going to do some coast to coast high flying moves, but it's like he doesn't need to be doing this. He really doesn't need to be doing stuff where he's yeah. Go on.
39.
39. So there you go.
He does not need to be doing a coast to coast headbutt. It was cool. Like, I've never seen that before, which is rare in wrestling nowadays.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Yeah, I mean, like you said, he doesn't need to be doing that at 39 years old, right?
Yeah, he really doesn't. Like, Jeff Hardy doesn't need... The problem with someone like Jeff Hardy is that if he doesn't do the swanton, then, you've got a problem. He can still do a twist of fate or something like this. But some of these guys, especially if you're world champion, if they were building up to Seth versus Roman for WrestleMania, that might be off the cards now. And even Bronson Reed, he did the tsunami off of the War Games cage last year.
Oh, injury, yeah.
And took himself out. It's like you don't. And then look at Ibushi in AEW. Now that isn't. Well, I don't know who's technically to blame, right? Because he was obviously he had the move being done on him. Gravity was his enemy. But who was holding him at the time? That was
Josh Alexander. Yeah, they're in the few kind of position only.
And if Josh Alexander lost his grip or didn't have his footing, it's like, why are you doing this move off the top rope? Why are you lifting someone like this when you're not on steady ground? You're not trying to establish yourself. You're both well known. And the thing is that you might be out for 2 years.
Oh yeah, Kota Ibushi, might be out for up to 2 years. Oh, I know that.
Sorry, I segued off it. I said Seth is my issue, but I guess any of them that do stupid moves and then F around and find out for it. It's just that someone, especially Seth, who's world champion, just had this crown jewel thing, and it's now just going to sense. He's going to obviously not be world champion this time next week. Yeah, they'll either strip him the title. We assume. Obviously, he did the fake injury thing, but this is where it's going to be him.
Yeah. There's so many issues with it, ain't there, like you said, because of the fake injury is number one. So, because undeniably, people are going to be thinking once again, is it another fake injury? It's just, even though it's obviously not. But at the same time, everybody's doing revisionist kind of history on the fake injury. Everyone's now like, even though we all knew it was a work, but we obviously knew it was a work. It's like, no, so many people did not know it was a work. We had an inkling, but we thought it was real.
Yeah,
at the time, because they didn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was at least some little whispers and stuff about he might be coming back sooner and stuff, but like I think people picked up on the fact that he injured himself the same way that he'd injured himself before. But I think there is so much revisionist history telling when it comes to the internet. Even this stuff about Andrade, what I expect in a couple of days' time, because if I was to bring it up, it would be all about he's been off the programming and people don't know why ever since his re-debut. And then it will just be, but there's no worries backstage, there's no upsets, and it would be like you just overhyped something, so there's a headline to click on to begin with.
Yeah. Well, they kind of did that today, because I heard today that apparently people in AEW I think Brian Alvarez has reached out, and apparently they know what's going on. Some of them, anyway. A portion of them know what's going on with Andrade, but just refuse to tell them.
Right.
Which is like a story without a story.
Yeah.
What that really means, I don't really know. But yeah, it's happening a lot though. Like Kota Ibushi, I think it's hard to say whose fault it was. I mean, I would say probably Kota Ibushi's fault more, just for the fact that, I mean, he's the like the elder of the two anyway. So realistically, it kind of comes down to them anyway. But I've seen his. It's hard to really. It doesn't look like anything that is suddenly fall. And going by that, I'm going to assume it was Kota Ibushi, because I've seen him do that before. Because apparently, I've never seen a Kota Ibushi that can move. So to me, this has always been Kota Ibushi. Apparently, he used to be good.
Can you not hear me?
Oh, I changed the input and I can hear you now. The output. For some reason, I can hear in the headphones now.
The fun and games of technology.
Oh, I hate it, man. I might just stop StreamYard in the future.
Yeah. What were we saying about, Kota Ibushi? Wasn't he the one that had like some weird falling out with New Japan or something a few years ago? And he was then saying that they were involved with the mafia. Am I completely muddling him up with someone else? He like went on some big rant. He had like a huge falling out.
I'm not. You might be right. I'm just a really bad thing. I'm not good when it comes to the Japanese wrestling. I get really confused with the names. I've been trying to learn them. Like, there's so many more obviously in AEW now. I've had to learn them to a point.
Yeah, of course.
Did you see who's now the IWGP champion?
Takeshita.
Yeah, I think that was recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I think within like the last few days or like the last week since this weekend or something. So yeah, like I didn't ever see him as a world champion. So I always thought he seemed kind of average, and they were like pushing him in the Don Callis family to be like. Then he gets a big win over Kenny Omega, and I was like, you can give him a win here, but he doesn't convince me. But I guess if for New Japan they might be like, oh, this guy's got a profile in America.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing with New Japan is just before AEW started, they were really trying to have a piece of America, and AEW have just completely killed that for them. So it's just if they want to do anything in the English speaking world, they kind of have to collab with AEW now.
I think that was probably the best thing for them anyway, just because it's very hard to go into. Well, it's very hard to go into any wrestling company fresh. I remember when before AEW started, and I was thinking I need to get into like Ring of Honor and all the indie stuff more, but I just didn't know where to start. And that, but in a non-English speaking promotion,
yeah,
like I like it. Like doing it through the AEW presentation. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Whether or not they can ever expand to be their own thing away from AEW, though, I think is what, because before AEW started, they were like, wow, we've got all these American stars. We've got Cody Rhodes. We've got Canadian, but you know what I mean? Kenny Omega. We've got the Young Bucks. And they've got, Marty Scurll and other people that were English speakers that were all in the elite, and then they all left. And they were like, you've just gutted our company. And that's why the Forbidden Door was called that, because for 2 or 3 years, they were like really burned on AEW and didn't want to work with them.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. I mean, it's already kind of past that point, I guess, now then, because there's obviously only so many like top. I suppose that's the argument as well, where like, because of AEW doing that or taking more of the talent as well, that New Japan are then just going to build new ones, such as Takeshita, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's always going to happen. There's always I think that's one good thing with WWE is the fact that they're constantly bringing in, not just hoovering up a load of, existing wrestling talent, but also the whole I1D thing. I'm not completely sure how that works.
Oh, the ID thing, yeah.
Yeah. But also, how they bring people in and like train them up, just doing other sports and stuff. Like more than anything, did you watch any of the LFG stuff?
I did. I saw like 2 clips of it with like Undertaker or Bubba Ray getting like shouty at people, and that's all I saw of it.
You'd probably quite like it, to be fair. Like for anyone that likes backstage stuff and just you see a lot of things. You see how the matches are built, and it's almost like it's like a series based on when you're doing 2K and you're building up through the ranks, whatever that
Yeah.
career. It's like watching TV.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know. Was it on Netflix? Where could you see this?
Legally, I didn't.
Oh, see this thing, because like one of the problems I always struggle with is I do have Netflix, and I'll be like, especially when if it's getting later in the week and like I've got a Slam Jam happening on Thursday or Friday, I'll be like, I haven't watched Raw yet, and suddenly I'm on YouTube watching 10-minute highlights. I'm like, I couldn't even watch the whole show, but just between watching like 2 or 3 hours of WWE Raw or SmackDown, for whichever ones, when they decide to make them 2 or 3 hours. So that's at least 4 hours a week of WWE, plus another 2 hours if you include NXT, plus another 2 hours if you include Dynamite, another 2 hours if you include Collision. And it's like already that's like, what, 10, 12 hours? And then it's like, well, after that, Ring of Honor still exists, but no one watches that. NWA is still out there. MLW still has some sort of presence. And then, perhaps I should. WWE is saying we should watch AAA now. So we better see that to see what Dominic Mysterio's up to. It's like, and then they add in, this is them literally training with no audience. So that I think they've got no audience on that show, right?
What?
On the one where they're training them, the LFG, they have no audience.
No, they have some audience for it. It's in the performance center, and in the main event, full audience.
Oh, okay, fair play.
You can tell that they don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
They're like pulled in off the street, some of them.
See, and this comes back to what we were saying earlier, actually, that like I was saying about AEW, where like you'll have Excalibur like calling all these technical moves and stuff, and then you can just kind of feel that from WWE or from Jim Ross or like people like this, they'll be like, like even that thing you hear about Vince McMahon where he's saying pronouns, pal, because who is he? He's in the ring. He's picked him up. It's like, no, use the names. And there's a reason why all of these little things matter. And so when you then see these people who are literally pulled in off the streets from some other sport, or they've been pulled in from, they've wrestled 24 matches on the indie, and they don't know where the hard cam is. And you always hear the same advice about slow things down. And then you watch AEW and they speed things up. It's like they're different philosophies. But again, there's a reason why WWE are as big as they are and the logic to it, where they've had the most experience of, this is why we do this. We've tested every way imaginable. This works. There's a reason why we don't do this. And it might even be as simple as, if you do all these flashy moves, then that means that now we do have to do a coast to coast just to get the crowd to pop. Whereas like a great thing WWE have achieved over the last few years, especially like with Kevin Owens, is they made it so that a pile driver was a devastating move. It was a killer move. And so even at Crown Jewel the other day, John Cena of all people, he did do the attitude adjustment immediately afterwards, but he beat AJ Styles with a tombstone pile driver. It's because it's a finisher. Whereas now everyone's doing a Panama Sunrise, a Canadian Destroyer, a Mexican Destroyer, just as a linking segment move.
Yeah. I don't know if you can use John Cena though as a example for it, because doesn't he do like 4 finishes before that, and the same in the match before?
Well, do you know what? Where I would argue in favor of John Cena doing that, though,
I'm okay with it.
Is that no? But here's the thing: the reasons why they weren't finishers. I'll go to the logic of Jake the Snake Roberts. Like his DDT, it killed you. Other people, well, they don't do it as well. And the thing about John Cena doing the RKO is it looks like shit, right? It looks terrible. Like he got 2 feet of height in it when he did the choke slam on AJ Styles. He didn't Like even AJ Styles, who can sell better than most people in the world, you know, he couldn't even like get enough height on what Cena was lifting him up for the choke slam and stuff.
Because the Hulk Hogan choke.
Yeah, it was such a Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, like dead weighting him, you know. So that's why I'd say, for as much as Cena was like, I'm going to pull off. Now, the one thing I'll actually give Cena though is this Sister Abigail that he did. It looked like it killed AJ Styles. And again, I probably give the credit there to AJ Styles selling it like he'd just been shot with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Because when you see the old footage of Bray doing it, most of the time, the thing that I've never liked about that move, the Sister Abigail, and about the Crossroads, is that you do a spin and it looks like your opponent lands more on you. And it's like, well, you're kind of providing them padding. It doesn't look like they're but when Cena did that Sister Abigail, it looked like he planted AJ's head like under the mat, right? So it looked like that was one of the best Sister Abigails I've seen. So, you know, and that's no disrespect to Bray's. It's just that he's a bigger guy and you'd see that his opponents wouldn't hit the ground.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I think it is more of a compliment to AJ anyway, because of how he spins out afterwards after taking the impact. It is more about the Salah more than anything.
Yeah.
You can make a move look beautiful on your end, but if they just flop down, they ain't gonna look like anything. But yeah, I mean, the reason, like, before I've got like something to go on with what you mentioned about AEW, like, well, with both of them, how they kind of stand out in that. But did you see like the releases that have happened like very recently
from WWE? I know Rick Collins was released.
Yeah, it was just before. There was a couple of NXT, and then most of them were LFG, which was quite surprising. So they seem to have gotten rid of a load of the cast from LFG. Well, not a load of them.
Yeah,
the one was actually getting over as well, because apparently he'd wrestled through an injury, and I think there was something about Rich Holland wrestled through an injury as well, wasn't there?
Okay, so from what I understand, because I only vaguely remember it from when he was injured, I think he went to TNA, got injured there, and now they've released him based on an injury he got wrestling, not paid by TNA, but he was sent there by WWE. And so people feel that they shouldn't have. Like, I know WWE are getting some flack for that because they say, oh, they've released him when he's injured. You know, they could have at least seen out his injury. I think he did say that they're paying for, WWE is still paying for whatever surgery or therapy or whatever he needs, but his actual contract's over. The other thing I noticed was within the last couple of weeks that Smiley Kylie Ray, who was the ID champion, announced she was pregnant and then announced that they've released her from a contract. And I felt like it feels a bit rough, but also that's two WWE women's champions this year have had to like basically give up their title through pregnancy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate for them, but at the same time, I kind of get it, I suppose, because as a female, like, they're going to be out for at least like a year and a half, possibly. And you know, like Kaylee Ray and Naomi, what can they do? They bent over a barrel. They want her back.
Oh, no, so they haven't released Naomi, but
but
it's unfortunate. Well, it's not. You know, I don't think she'll be too mad. You know, that her and Big Jim are having a kid or whatever. I think they could have kept paying Kylie Ray until she'd given birth. You know, it's after. Sorry, man.
I'm surprised it's legal to do that. Like, you know, I feel like there's some kind of legalities over here. Like,
I don't know if it was it that they released or was it that they're not renewing her contract?
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
You know, now you say that, I feel like it might have been not renewing. I'm not sure though.
So, but either way, it still feels a bit like, oh, she was a champion. So obviously they weren't planning to release her immediately, because why would they have the belt on her? So then just to not... and they might have said to her, like, this is great, you know, we're going to help you in certain ways. And when you're ready to come back, then you can come back. You know, it might just be as simple as that.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, like, you don't know as well, though, like, not so much with her, because of that situation, obviously. But I was thinking with a lot of the other ones that have been fired or, like let their contracts go. I wonder how many of them have already got like handshake agreements for Impact or TNA, sorry.
Well, for TNA, like, I don't know. I feel like maybe not many of them because that when WWE made the deal with TNA, there were several people there, Indy Hartwell, Mustafa Ali, Brian Myers, Matt Cardona. It's like, oh, well, they left WWE. Nick Nemeth, like loads of people that were ex WWE in TNA, and it's like, oh, is this a bit awkward for them? But evidently not. Matt Cardona wrestled on NXT yesterday, so
That's why I
maybe, yeah, maybe they will just go, and it's just basically well, you'll have a contract, but now it'll be with a TNA contract, but we're still going to continue to work with you. And maybe that's just how the understanding.
Yeah, get the reps in that, innit,
Yeah. But at the same time, some of them may feel like, oh, now I don't think I can go to TNA now. WWE have just released me. WWE probably have some influence to be like, well, don't expect them to be on NXT. We released them for a reason, sort of thing. So whether or not any of them end up in AEW, I think is the bigger question.
That too, yeah. I mean, it's probably just more wishful thinking for me because especially the LFG people and some of the people that put more work into, it's a bit of a shame. Like the only real surprise in regards to like no names in there, ignoring that side, it was like from NXT would be Wesley. He was quite a surprise. I don't know where that one came from.
No, but one of the things which I always look to, because like when CM Punk was out of WWE and out of wrestling, even before AEW was a thing, I remember there being an interview with Triple H where he was asked about CM Punk, and his response was something to the effect of, it doesn't matter how talented you are or how much the fans like you, you still need to be able to go to work each week and be able to work with this person. And if the personalities don't gel and you can't work with them, you can't work with them. It doesn't matter how big a name or how much people would like to see it, which for years, I think, was the reason why CM Punk didn't end up back in WWE. Because even when they spoke to him and he was on WWE Backstage, I think there's some quote of Triple H that's come out in the last year or whatever, where it's like, we spoke to him and he's still the same guy. We can't work with him. And so I'm not saying this about Wesley. I'm not saying this about, Ridge Holland or any of them, but there might just be the case of if there's someone that's really surprising, it might just be that, and it might be WWE's fault. Because say if it's NXT, there's Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels might be the one that's not fun to work with, but he's the one with the power. So he might just be like, I can't work with this guy. And it might be that, but it's just people dynamics, really.
Yeah, I mean, especially like the kind of people you imagine that must get into wrestling. Like, we see the people that get into comedy, and it's comedy plus agreeing to get dropped on your head over and over again. So, I can't imagine the most stable people going for that.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, you have to, it's such a difficult, anything in the entertainment industry is so difficult because it's all about, you want people to like you, and you have to give an impression for people to like you, and you have to be entertaining, and you have to be easy to work with. But then again, you have to not be a pushover, and you need to be able to stand up for yourself. And these things don't really sound like they gel together of, well, I want you to be my friend and I want you to like me, but I don't want you to walk over me and just take what you want. So I'm also not going to be too giving. And then, you like say, and then with wrestling, and then we need to trust that you're not going to drop someone on their head, or that I need to trust that you're not going to drop me on my head if we're pissed at each other.
Peach as well throwing in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, we assume from what we've heard that the wrestling landscape backstage, is a lot more chill. As Undertaker famously says, unfortunately, they're all on games and they're not on knives, running around with knives. And I'm sure he sticks with that comment and doesn't regret it at all.
Yeah. Well, see, there's a point to it. Like, I think WWE wrestling, the idea that the culture backstage is that people are on video games or they're filming TikToks and stuff. It is because the cat is out the bag. Everyone knows that it's a work and stuff like this. No one's maintaining this tough guy image because they kind of don't have to. Except we're on a wrestling podcast talking all about the backstage stuff. And I think that what so many of the wrestlers miss is the reason why we're doing what we're doing now and so many people do this kind of thing is because we're desperate to find whatever is still real. So you're talking about the backstage stuff but that's still real. So that the dynamics there is much more interesting than the fake stuff they do on TV. And it's because we want them to trick us to believing everything is real. And that's what deep down the fans want. If we thought what was happening in the ring was real, we'd be talking about what happens backstage anecdotally. But instead, we speak about the backstage more than we haven't discussed, other than saying, oh, Seth shouldn't have done a stupid move. We haven't discussed any in-ring stuff at all because it's not interesting compared to the real lives and the people dynamics of it all.
I mean, sometimes it can be, it very much depends about what's going on. I'm going to ask you that now. I can imagine your opinion in that case then as to whether kayfabe is alive or dead still. I imagine you probably feel like me that it is alive when it's done right. Like sometimes, like WrestleMania, not last year, but the year before, for example, like that's the real kind of kayfabe for me when it kind of merges, blurs the lines.
Yeah, so I it's alive with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk and what they were doing. It's generally alive with what MJF does. And there's a few people where they have to make you think that that wasn't meant to happen. So even the stuff with Seth over the last few weeks, there's been stuff about Seth and Heyman don't work out backstage. And then Seth gets injured, we assume, because again, Seth suddenly dropping the crutches and walking to the ring, they kayfabed us. They made us believe something was real, and the way they have to do it. And then what you always hear, and with TNA actually, they've been trying to kayfabe us really hard because over the last few weeks in the build up to Bound for Glory, there's been all the stuff online. It's like if Trick wins and Mike Santana doesn't become champion, then there's a lot of unhappy people in the locker room. It's like, no, there isn't. No, they're just trying to make us think that there is this interpromotional rivalry or that the NXT people are going to start protesting against their employers, that the guy that a guy from NXT in WWE that's bringing more attention to them is a bad thing. It's like, no, this is exactly what I said. So in 2 days, the rumors will disappear about Andrade and it will just be, oh, it turned out that was nothing. And it's like, but 2 days ago, you acted like there was some real breaking story here. And a week ago, they were like, TNA, people are really unhappy about what's been happening with NXT looking better than them. It's like, no one cares. They don't care because they're telling you this to make us discuss it on shows like this when really they're still working us. And we don't we realize, but for a lot of people, when you go on Twitter, they don't realize they're being worked.
Yeah, I guarantee everybody gets worked to a point without realizing it, and we 100% do when we're watching the match and you let yourself get lost in it. To another version of kayfabe, it's like in the same way of suspending disbelief when you're watching a film, that kind of thing. But then also like you said, like the backstage stuff, like you're right. I think you said I fully agree with that.
Well, I think for 100 years, wrestling kept the secret. And so I think there is still a secret that we don't know about. And 50 years ago, everyone knew wrestling was fake, but we didn't know wrestling was fake. And at the same time, nowadays, I think it's that we know wrestling's fake, but we also know that there is a second layer of inception, if you like, where it's this second layer is also fake, but that they haven't admitted to it. And so the way I think they should be running this, if they're smart, is they're like, right, what are we putting on TV this week? And we have the writers who work that out. And then they should have another secret group of writers are saying, right, what are we putting out on the internet that's happening backstage that we want people to hear about? And that should be an actual job, a position where they have a team of writers, they have meetings saying like, right, okay, so Road Dogg, you go and say this to someone, Michael P.S. Hayes, you go say this to someone, they're going to leak it out, we'll hear that it's come through you, and the person that's leaking it, they're in on it too, and call Busted Open, get Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray on the case, they're paid to discuss this, and then we'll phone up Tony Khan and just be like, hey, what are you doing this year? Right, okay, great. Okay, so we'll do this, and we're going to seem like we're trying to counter-program you. That's going to get a lot of people talking. Because actually, we're beating you quite a bit too much at the moment. So if we make you seem the underdog again, then it'll just, everyone will win in the end. This could all be happening, and we don't know. And it sounds conspiracy, but 50 years ago, the idea that what they do in the ring was fake was also conspiracy.
I mean, it could be. Like I have... in the other podcast on Squishy Logic that I do with Nathan Parrish, we look at conspiracies all the time, and we find some crazier ones than that. So that could be real.
Oh, I love a good conspiracy.
In the same way, the Montreal screw job, Bret Hart knew about that all along. He was involved.
Well, look, the Montreal's, we could go down that rabbit hole too, but so that they were making the documentary where they were filming stuff conveniently, because before that point, why would WWE, there was Beyond the Mat around a similar time, but why was WWE suddenly just allowing the backstage to be filmed? All this stuff that was then conveniently able to show behind the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of stuff before anyway, those Big Devil's Advocate, they'd always had the odd person, hadn't they? Like there was a guy who got slapped backstage.
Exactly. But that was Dr. David Schultz, yeah. But that was that they did an interview and they went to Qatar or something and Vader got arrested. But this was because the wrestlers would always maintain that it was real. This was the first time they were filming Bret Hart speaking to Shawn even after the screw job, where Bret was like, hey, did you know about that, Shawn? And he's like, I swear on my life. And it's like, why were they filming that if they supposedly hated each other? Why would Shawn be like, it's like, oh yeah, we should just sit in the same locker room. I've got your belt. I shouldn't have had it. I won't just give it back to you, but I'll deny. Why wouldn't you say just get rid of the camera guy? We will discuss this like men. You want to fight over it? Let's fight, sort of thing. What having this conversation?
There's even a shot where Vince, after the apparent punches happen, where Vince is walking off, holding base.
Yeah, I know the shot. Yeah.
I might do a deep dive into that one time because it's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
The only issue to it, I would say now, is the only thing that makes me think that definitely isn't the case is I feel like Bret Hart would have come out of it by now. He's such an unhappy man about everything. He would have complained about it by now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's tackle that quickly. So, what is Bret Hart's business? So, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso got drunk after they won tag team titles 18 months ago. They sat there on the press conference and kept going, yeet, like that. I think that was the turning point that made yeet go from just something they said into being on a t-shirt and a catchphrase and all this kind of thing.
I'd agree.
And it's pattern recognition. It's like, hey, people are into this, right? So Bret Hart's like, Triple H, he's a no talent, and he's like, oh, Bill Goldberg, he's useless, and it's like, what else is Bret Hart selling nowadays? But these always are a headline. There was a headline the other day that there was a fan convention that Bret Hart and Goldberg were going to be at. Bret Hart's pulled out of it. And it's headlines. Those headlines get clicks. Those clicks earn money. It's like, it's his shtick nowadays. If he's not going to... Jim Cornette and Vince Russo, or Jim Cornette and the Young Bucks or whatever, the fact that we know that they hate each other, yet they've never had to be in the ring and have a confrontation, at a certain point, the wrestlers must have just realized, shit, we can just, arrange this over the phone. I'll tweet about you. You'll speak on your podcast about me. It'll keep our names in the headlines. we don't actually, and everyone else will fill in the blanks. We don't even have to lock up.
That's a good point as well, actually, because the one thing Bret Hart does sell is he always seems to do like yearly or bi-yearly, like inside the rope talks where he goes around. I usually like in England, I've seen.
Yeah. What does Bret Hart want to talk about? Does he want to talk about, oh, my brother Owen died and it was really sad? Does he want to talk about, everyone that's died? Or does he want to still have a character and have a rivalry? So, that Triple H is a doofus. If he was in the locker room when I'd punched out Vince, and then people are speculating. He doesn't want to talk about the sad stuff. He still wants to be seen as a man that can take down these other people, and he'll do it verbally.
It was hilarious what he said. Though, was like if Triple H was in the back when
we got
married, definitely. Like, how does that make sense?
Well,
I'd have hit it so hard you wouldn't have married someone to you. Like,
I think it would have been like Vince would have never have, Vince would have got punched. Triple H would have stood there like a coward, and then Vince would have lost complete respect for Triple H. I mean, Shane was there. Shane was backstage when it happened, because the story was, I think, that Bulldog grabbed Bret Hart to restrain him. Bret Hart thought it was Shane, and then apparently kicked backwards and broke Bulldog's shin. Right.
Oh.
So, and I think it was like Shane was there and Slaughter was there and a couple of others. But if Shane was there, there's a reason why Shane was never the president of WWE, but Stephanie was. So,
before or after he got in the shower, because I know he got in the shower, didn't he? And he was like, "If you're still here when I get out, then pop you." And he was, and he did.
Yeah, and he did. But I think the idea was that in the room was still Bulldog, Anvil, maybe Owen, and then on Vince's side there was Vince along with Slaughter, probably Pat Patterson, and maybe Shane and someone else. I'm not sure. But
I think, for my opinion, why Shane never got it as well, though, is just for the fact that he left for however many years, which he shouldn't have done. But at the same time, I get it, because he tried to get his dad to buy UFC, didn't he? And he was like, no, we don't need that trash.
Yeah.
Kind of
what? But if Vince had bought it, it'd have ruined it.
He's damn right. Yeah.
Everything WWE movies, the Eco Pro supplement, the World Bodybuilding Federation, XFL. What else? Do you remember when they? What was the social media platform that WWE invested in? Do you remember what was it called? Tout. Yes. And so they've released their Tout, and the crazy thing about it was short videos, which nowadays is everything. It's TikTok. So WWE kind of owned TikTok before TikTok was a thing, but it was a little bit too ahead of what was possible. And the idea of, you can do 7-second videos, it was who cares? But now obviously it's evolved with TikTok and shorts and reels.
They've been ahead of a few times though, like that. Like the network, when they were first on the was going with ahead of the Cyber Sunday. They did that before the technology was really good enough to do it.
Yeah.
Few things.
The silly thing with Cyber Sunday was that they actually did the votes were sometimes real and sometimes not. And when they were sometimes real, the fans never voted the way they wanted them to.
Or it didn't matter, because it was what match type would you like? A hardcore match, a street fight, or an Extreme Rules match?
Or a Bloodline Rules match. Yeah, exactly. They're all the same thing. Yeah.
All right, then. I think it's about the right time now. I am going to test that wrestling brain of yours, Mr. David. I have a feeling you're going to get a good mark for this.
But it depends what it is. If it's specifics, or if you're asking who won at Backlash 1999, between Chalvo. Now Chalvo wouldn't have been there, but you know what I mean. I'm not going to do well on that. It depends what the questions are.
I made them hard, but I wouldn't have gone that ridiculous, Okay. And categories for them all. So question 1 will be about old school WWE.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so question 1, my man, is during the 1997 Canadian Stampede event, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Bulldog, Neidhart, and Brian Pillman faced off against a team of American wrestlers in the main event. But this is that question, sorry, yeah?
Yeah.
Which fight does the opposing team? The only one.
Okay, right. I'll do my best. I think it was. I think
yeah.
it would have been Steve Austin. Steve Austin was pinned by Owen Hart. Owen Hart got the win. I think it was the Legion of Doom. I think it was Ken Shamrock. And I'd be damned if I can think who I'd say a fifth person could have been in that match. So the 5 Americans, I'd say Legion of Doom, Ken Shamrock, Steve Austin, and because I don't think it was anything related to DX. I don't think it would have been Rocky Maivia, but no, I'm gonna. Have you got it there? Have you got option?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't look. I didn't look at the screen. Okay, so Undertaker, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Ken Shamrock, and Vader. I don't think it was that. Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Gold could have been Goldust. So Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, Legion of Doom. I lean towards that. Steve Austin, Mankind, Farouk. It wasn't Farouk. Goldust, Ken Shamrock, Steve Austin, The Rock, Ken Shamrock, Goldust. It wasn't Ahmed Johnson. I'm sure it was the Legion of Doom. So I'm going to say it was Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, and the Legion of Doom.
Wow, they will not surprise you to learn you are correct, sir, in that one.
I didn't realize they were on the screen. I was too much thinking in my own head of what the fifth person could have been.
I did think that, but I'm going to leave him and just see if he can do it on his own.
Yeah. Let's see if I do have any memory first.
All right, now we're going to move on to modern WWE then. So, at Survivor Series War Games 2022, the Bloodline competed in their first War Games match. Which Bloodline member officially scored the pinfall to win the match? A. Roman Reigns, B. Jey Uso, C. Jimmy Uso, or D. Sami Uso?
So, so this was when Jey Uso really didn't trust Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn, in this match, I think won him over by attacking Kevin Owens or putting him through a table or something like this. So, I think the ending of the match, it could have been easily that whoever did whatever, that Roman then got the pin. Or it could have been that Jay got the pin. But it's definitely not going to be Jimmy. I'm going to say it was Sami Zayn.
Right answer?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, it was Jey Uso.
Who was it?
Jey Uso.
Oh, okay. I bet I could have puzzled it out a bit more, but yeah, okay, fair enough.
They need to stop trying to yeast when they come down to the Usos music. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, then question 3, WCW. There's only 8, by the way. Chris Jericho's list of 1004 holds promo in 1998 was a parody of whose legitimate in-ring nickname?
That would be the man of 1,000 moves, Dean Malenko.
That is indeed. Well done. I am a fan of him, especially more than anything his James Bond gimmick, best gimmick he had.
Oh my god, it did. No, for me, I think it didn't mean it. His music sounded James Bond-ish, but there was nothing James Bond about him.
Other than
I've always heard that Dean Malenko was like, he's got so much personality backstage, and he just couldn't show. And I think I know the reason for that, and I didn't work it out until I saw him on a AEW podcast where Aubrey Edwards and whoever else was hosting it.
Unrestricted, yeah.
It was quite in the early days of AEW, and he was just whatever they would say, he'd kind of riff on it, and he was so funny. And I was like, you can't script this because his responses are funny just because they quickly just take what's said. It's like doing crowd work if you're a comedian. It's like someone says something and you just get something which is only funny because it's in response to someone else. And it can't really script that in. It doesn't work in the same way. It'll feel forced. And so I think that's why people always say, he's so funny backstage, but it didn't translate on screen.
It's very hard, I suppose, to do that type of comedy because you don't know how to set it up. Whereas R-Truth, you can just throw him out and he just does things.
Yeah. Well, that's why Dean Malenko perhaps could have worked as a personality if he'd got the right manager or the right tag team partner that he could have bounced off of. you know, or even the right opponent. So when you think of The Rock will say something. The Rock will lay traps for people, and it's part of his gimmick about, is that what you think? Well, actually, it doesn't matter what you think. And that's kind of, he needs someone else to do the A, B, C for it to work. Bum, bum, bum. But obviously that isn't even what Malenko's thing is. But The Rock couldn't do, it doesn't matter what you think, if he didn't have someone else. The straight man and the clown. You know, and Dean Malenko, if he's the clown, he needed a straight man to set him up.
You just kind of feel like he might be more the straight man, but obviously the more comical of the two, which he can do, just hard to do.
See, that's the interesting thing. So perhaps that wasn't like the best comparison, but what I mean is that if he's getting the laugh line, he needed the straight man to set him up, basically. But I get it; his personality comes across because it's dry humor. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question 4 for you, sir. ECW now.
Okay.
Who was the final ECW television champion before the company shut down in 2001? Was it A. Rhino, B. Rob Van Dam, C. Jerry Lynn, or D. Tajiri?
It was Rhino.
It was not Rhino.
It was not Rhino. Oh, if Rhino was the final world champion, right?
I think that's right.
Hang on.
Rob Van Dam.
Was it Rob Van Dam?
Because he merged it, remember, with John Cena at One Night Stand.
Yeah, Rob Van Dam merged but he was never ECW champion in ECW. And from what I remember, didn't Rob Van Dam, like, he was, I don't think he was injured, but he had to give up the ECW TV title after a very long run. I don't ever remember that he got it back.
I'm not sure. Should we double check it? Be safe.
Well, you can do, but I thought Rhino perhaps had both titles. And then when they brought it back, when they brought ECW in with the invasion, they just ignored all their titles. ECW TV champion. I thought it was Rhino. But
yeah, this is telling me the same thing as well.
Who have you got it as?
I did have it as Tajiri, but now I'm looking again. Everything's telling me Rhino.
Yeah, it's Rhino.
I'm going to take it as Rhino then in that case.
Okay.
God knows what I was doing there. Okay, well, that's right then. I would have gave you either. It was question 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Question 5. AEW. The Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle reached its peak at AEW Double or Nothing 2021. Which member of the Pinnacle was kicked out of the group after the feud ended? Was it MJF, Wardlow, Sean Spears, or FTR?
Gosh, before I fully answer, my obvious thought goes to Wardlow, because obviously him and MJF fell out. And then, so Wardlow fell out with MJF. He then had a big win over MJF and kind of disappeared when MJF disappeared as well. I think at some point they got rid of Sean Spears. And I can't remember how that happened. So obviously it's not going to be MJF because he was the leader, and it won't be FTR because there's 2 of them. I'm going to say Wardlow, but if it turned out to be Spears, it might just be that the Wardlow thing happened later.
Yeah, you're right in the sense that you're wrong, but you're right for why you're wrong.
Yeah, okay, go on then. So was it Spears?
Yeah, it's Spears, and Wardlow. Sean Spears went after that, and then Wardlow, because after he had the thing with MJF, he went on and started powerbombing everyone after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
One after that, and then just didn't really capitalize on it at all.
Well, I don't think it was so much his fault. They just didn't use him.
No, it wasn't his fault.
And also, when the hype over him powerbombing people, and what did they call that? That was like this Symphony of Destruction or something like this.
Yeah, something like that.
Powerbomb Symphony. That was a very Ryback style gimmick, and it will run out of speed. You can't just do that forever, because it's like, well, you can't dominate everyone with just repeated power moves forever.
Yeah.
At some point, other people need to be able to seem competitive to it.
And you can't do that to everyone either. Yes, you can powerbomb pretty much anyone if you're strong enough, but you can't be giving Samoa Joe 5 power bombs.
Yeah, exactly. And like Wardlow, he seemed like he was a big guy, and he is, but he was AEW big. You know, if you put him in even in the ring with Billy Gunn, and Billy Gunn would probably make him look average in size.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
so
you go ahead.
I'd say, do you have an opinion on where he got hurt? That's because he's hurt again now, isn't he?
What actually happened? Like, I remember a few weeks or months ago, whenever it was that he got hurt, that there was a thing about that, but I can't remember what actually. I don't think I actually saw the spot on the moment where he got injured.
Well, I think apparently people are trying to say it was literally when he debuted, he popped up, joined Don Callis' family naturally, and he did a clothesline to Prince Nana, and that's all he did.
Right.
And he never came back because apparently he'd got injured. They haven't said how he got hurt. Everyone's assuming it was on that clothesline, although there was no reaction whatsoever. If so, it could have been, like while he was training or something, and like a Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
I personally think that it probably happened there. It's just wounded timing, really, really bad timing.
Yeah, and like the thing I thought was silly about it is they said that they were gonna put him in the world title match that I think Kyle Fletcher ended up happening. And to me, it's like, well, Wardlow hadn't earned that spot. If you brought someone back like that and he was going to go against Hangman, I was just like, well, Hangman's winning. Wardlow's being fed to him because he hasn't been on TV in a year or 2 years or however long it was, so it doesn't have the same meaning.
Yeah, I think the only problem is, though, I think for a while we're going to know that Hangman isn't losing. It's going to be a while, yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's carry on if that's all right. Question 6 for you, Japanese wrestling.
Okay.
Which of these has Antonio Inoki never faced? Muhammad Ali, Bobo Brazil, Kenta Kobashi, or Big Van Vader?
Okay, so he definitely faced Muhammad Ali. Bobo Brazil is in my head. I think Bobo Brazil is like a little person, so it could have. I'm gonna probably go for Bobo Brazil. Kenta Kobashi, it feels like he should have done. Vader, I imagine they would have crossed paths because Inoki would have still been. Their crossover of Prime was enough so that could have happened. I'm going to go with Bobo Brazil.
Okay. No, unfortunately, he did face, but it was the one you would assume he did face, Kenta Kobashi. He did not ever face.
Yeah, I just couldn't think of what the timing of his career would have been. Okay.
It's right. The timing's right. It's just one of them weird ones where they never faced.
Yeah.
Okay, question 7, 2 more than now. American territories, 70s to the 80s. Before WWF days, Hulk Hogan wrestled in several territories. Which of the following promotions did he never work in during the 70s and 80s? A, Georgia Championship Wrestling. B, Championship Wrestling from Florida. Pacific Northwest Wrestling, or Mid-South Wrestling?
Wow. I can try to put some logic to it, but this is almost certainly going to be a shot in the dark.
Fair enough.
So Hogan, he's from Venice Beach, California. He wrestled in AWA, Mid-South. So, gosh, Florida. So California, Florida, opposite side of the country, but not that, if you're wrestling in Georgia, that isn't a long way from California as best my American geography would go. Pacific Northwest Wrestling, I feel like, is a name which I have just about heard of, but feel like I could probably tell you nothing about. I'm going to take a guess and say Pacific Northwest Wrestling.
Well done. That was very well worked out. That's right.
Okay, was it? Wow. Okay. Stab in the dark stuff.
I don't know. That felt like legitimate logic to me then.
Well, it was just, I was trying my best to puzzle out some stuff.
I like it. Let's see if we can do one more time. This is last question. British wrestling, world of sport. Okay. Bread and butter, which we watch all the time. Okay. Which wrestler was known for his dirty heel tactics, often bending the rules and taunting the crowd, becoming one of the most infamous villains in ITV wrestling? Was it A, Mick McManus, B, Johnny Saint, C, Big Daddy, or D, Giant Haystacks?
Giant Haystacks was a heel, so I'm going to assume it's him.
One, it doesn't mean they're a heel, like they were known for being and only as a heel as well.
Okay, so which wrestler known for his dirty heel tactics, often bending the rules and taunting the crowd, became one of the most notorious villains on ITV wrestling? So I can't remember enough about. So Johnny Saint, didn't he end up as like the general manager of NXT UK as well? Right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be in the beloved category. Mick McManus, I can't remember enough about him, but I feel like I've even seen Mick McManus wrestle live, many years ago.
Mine.
I think I did. But there was a few people who were hangovers from the World of Sport era that I did see wrestle at either Butlins or or this kind of thing. Okay, so Big Daddy obviously is beloved babyface. I'm going to say Giant Haystacks, but if you I was hoping you'd have Kendo Nagasaki there, and because I was like, oh, okay, so he would have been a heel. But I'm going to say Giant Haystacks.
Okay, I was going to try and find a picture of him just to show his heelness, but nothing's working. So I tried
Go on, who is it? Mick McManus?
It was Mick McManus, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thick, blonde, weird black hair. Looks like he dyes it with boot polish.
Yeah. Well, let me bring it up myself. Mick.
He was yeah, go on.
Mick McManus.
An interesting looking fella. He looked like it right up until his dying day as well.
Wow. He kind of looks like he should be someone that's a business rival of Del Boy on Only Fools and Horses.
He does. He just kind of act like that as well. He's got a lot of business. He was a rich fella.
Yeah. Yeah. Or he's come in and he's bought the Queen Vic from under Frank Butcher's nose, kind of thing. And he's got eyes for Pat Butcher. That's what he looks like.
I could see that, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you know? Because I never knew this until I watched this thing called Wrestle Me, which if you've never watched on YouTube, you'd love it. It's just, I don't know if they're comedians, but they're funny guys, just talking over old wrestling stuff and that, and current stuff too. I didn't know until I watched one of them things that Giant Haystacks was actually in WCW for a bit.
Loch Ness, yeah.
Yeah.
On that one. That's crazy because that feels, have you seen those videos where it's things that mess with your perception of time? There's a load of those in wrestling, and Giant Haystacks being in WCW in the ring with Hulk Hogan. I don't know if I think they tried to build up, but they didn't ever have that one-on-one match. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it feels like, again, as a timing thing, Giant Haystacks could have been in there and just been an equivalent to Avalanche, or when they brought it, or even the Big Show. It's it was just the Dungeon of Doom bringing in various monsters to try to destroy Hulkamania. And I think he was right on the tail end of that.
Yeah, pretty much, because there was the same time, near the same kind of time when they had that Zeus guy come back into WCW when the nailed film.
Yeah. See, I didn't realise that he wasn't a wrestler, because that all I knew growing up was, one, no holds barred, but two, SummerSlam 1989 or whatever it would have been. And it's just Zeus is a really powerful wrestler,
Just off somewhere else, when we don't see him in some other promotion somewhere.
Yeah. But the thing with that as well is, could Zeus have been world champion? Yeah. He's a big guy. And I often think, the great Khali, I think if he wanted to be world champion, he could be world champion. And Big Show and Mark Henry and Yokozuna, I feel like these would be the only world champions. Daniel Bryan should never legitimately be a world champion in wrestling. That's just the weight game. It will just be that they'll just sit on you. You'll be tired, and that they could just outlast you basically with zero effort. Yeah, they don't need to exert themselves.
A Big Daddy V would just lie on you. That's straight, you'd get done.
Legitimately.
One of those things, actually, before we head off, I got one of them 4 years old back. On that WrestleMe thing, I watched something that kind of messed up with my perception of time for wrestling. It was Daniel Bryan versus, how do you say his name again? Kamala.
Wow. Okay, that's cool.
And it ended with Kamala beating Daniel Bryan.
Wow. Yeah. See, there you go. See, Daniel Bryan actually is another example of some not Butlins, but one of these like all-star wrestling that would travel around to little civic centers and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the American Dragon Wrestle, and they made it like it was a big deal, like an American star. And I was like, I've never heard of this guy. And then like a couple of years later on Ring of Honor, I went like, do you remember the wrestling channel in the UK?
I was about to say that.
The American Dragon. I was like, I've seen this guy. I was like, yeah, he was pretty, flashy with what he could do, because he would do like even back then, like just run up the ropes and backflip off, and and it's like a few flashy things. But
I mean, even I don't get very excited about meeting people, but even when I worked with a wrestler in the comedy world like a few years ago, I was just from that, we won't mention what wrestler it was because he was cancelled at the time.
ooh.
And it definitely wasn't Jimmy Havoc. Let's just say that.
Oh, so it was Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Havoc.
Okay. Well, do you know what the weird thing was? I got to interview Daniel Bryan like years after seeing him. Yeah. When literally the day before he beat John Cena for the world title at SummerSlam 2013. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Sorry?
Or did you go? Was that over here, or did you go over there?
I went over there. So like when like What Culture and What Culture Pro Wrestling and all this kind of thing. In their early days, they're like early days, when maybe they've been going a year, 2 years, whatever. They weren't a big deal as they became, or I don't know if they still are a big deal, to be honest. But they didn't really do any video stuff, and so I ended up doing a bunch of video things for them. I interviewed The Rock for them. And that was at a thing in the UK for one of his movies. And I went to the US for SummerSlam because they were doing the launch of the 2K 13 or 14 video game. And so I met the Ultimate Warrior. And that is the super weirdest thing, because it was an unannounced appearance by the Ultimate Warrior, because they hadn't announced him for the video game until that weekend. And so the Warrior was there. Obviously, he then came in for the Hall of Fame next night. So that he made like literally 3 appearances officially for WWE again, and then he passed away, which was tragic. But yeah, so I got to meet Ultimate. That's a weird perceptions thing with time thing, like meeting Ultimate Warrior at SummerSlam 2013, when people be like, he wasn't there then, but technically he just about was.
Oh yeah, because it was WrestleMania, wasn't it? Of course. Then after that, when
but like when they announced that he was in the video game, so then that was also they held a press conference for it where Ric Flair was drunk, and sorry, on the stage, where and Jim Ross got fired as a result of it. I was there for all of this going on, and everyone was like whispering and laughing just to the fact that every question asked, Flair had an answer for it. And in the end, Jim Ross just threw away the questions. Everyone there loved it. But then when we heard like very soon afterwards that this is why Jim Ross was fired for not keeping Ric Flair under control. But
yeah, that's every now and then. That's one of them like wrestling videos that I'll go back and watch because it's just so funny. Like Flair being drunk and out of control is one of my favorite things in wrestling. We need more of it.
I have to find it. I recorded most of that press conference.
Oh yeah.
But like the stupid thing at the time is I got, for my camera, I'd only got like one battery. I left the other one on charge. And I was like, oh no, it's like, this is all gold. I need to be filming it all. But I was like, because we still had to do the interviews and stuff afterwards. And so I couldn't waste it all just before that.
At least you got it on the other tape though. Just knowing you were there for it, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it's one of the things, when something's cool, when you're just extremely jealous that someone's done it.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, that's awesome, mate.
Now, also, thank you very much for that then, man. I think I'll end it there then in that case. But remind the people where to get all your stuff, though, you know?
Yeah, so find me on all of the socials under David Pustansky, spelled Pustansky. Also find me under everything Geek Battle and Slam Jam Wrestling Show and Extreme Improv.
Pop. Cool. And Katie Comedy from me, wherever you're listening to this, you can listen to new episodes of Squishy Logic each and every week. But much love, people. See you soon on Suplex and Chill. And you got 4 out of 8, by the way. I meant to tell you. So I'm pretty sure you will hold on to that until I get Dev on.
4 out of 8. Oh, okay. Right.
Hard question, do you know?
Rough. Okay.
You try it again sometime, don't worry.
Yeah.
Much love, everyone. Take care.